Random!
Everyone, Major Rand here. It's time for my weekly vlog. Now, what's on my radar for this week's topic? Well, a couple weeks back, we had the Academy Awards, in which many people won awards, including one Patricia Arquette, who won for her role in the critically acclaimed Boyhood. Now, instead of getting up and doing what most winners of the awards do and thanking, producers or the crew or whoever, and maybe God, I don't know why they do that. She got up and for about a minute did a rant about how unfair labor wages are for women and about the wage gap and all this stuff. And it kind of pissed me off. Now, I'm not a chauvinist or misogynist. Don't start throwing those words out here. But this is a statistic that's been long misquoted by many groups, including very hardcore feminists and people in general. And I can already hear people starting to troll. Now I'll be like, he said what? Oh my god, that is such bullying. I don't like what he's saying. I'm going to write a complaint to Facebook and YouTube. Get his ass off the air. What I'm saying is not bullying. It's hard facts. The problem is a lot of these hardcore feminists and a lot of other people are quoting a statistic made by the Department of Labor saying that there is on average, 23-cent difference on the dollar between men and women in terms of payment of full-time employees. Now, what they're not particularly telling you is that this difference may be due to the fact there are different jobs that men and women are in. There are certain fields that are dominated by men. I mean, construction workers. Construction is a hazardous job and they pay a lot, not only for the hazard, but because many people who are on these jobs also have skilled works like welders, electrician, plumber, crane operators. These guys make a ton of money because for their skills and the fact you might get crushed by a falling I-beam. You also got to take into account of not going with just that. You have to take into account of education. I mean, and I'm not talking the fact just going to high school, associates, bachelor's, master's, PhD. Just going on the bachelor's level. A lot of the degrees that women get are they for the soft sciences, sociology, psychology, or even the arts, like an art degree, a history, or English, which on average for a bachelor's degree do not pay as much or have as many job opportunities as many degrees that are more dominated by men, such as computer science, business, engineering, mathematics, biochemistry. In fact, computer science, engineering, and business are among the highest earning degrees for a bachelor's. In fact, with a computer science, you don't even need a degree. You need if you have a certification in A+ networking and security, you can go work for a telecommunication company and top out at 120 grand a year, as opposed to most people with English majors. In order to make a job, you'd have to become a teacher, and I'm sorry, but it's very unfair. Is that teachers don't make as much as a guy who can do networking or program. In fact, programmers make more than the guy I just said with just those certifications. The problem is the statistic is not comparing jobs of equal intensity and education. I mean, a medical physician who's a cardiologist is going to make more than a secretary. Or you take a professor is not going to make more than an engineer. And the problem is they're comparing apples to oranges. You can't compare a crab fisherman or a line worker to a beautician, someone who went to beautician school, or a personal assistant. Although if you a personal assistant for a CEO, you're probably going to make it. But no, You gotta. The problem that we're facing is if women want to change this, and ladies, you have the power to change this. It's all up to you. You gotta go for those degrees. Now, another thing people also forget when it comes to this is experience on the job. Not necessarily, having skills, but the actual job. If you have two workers, a man and a woman, same degree, same kind of grades, same prior work experience, both worked in a field, worked in similar to the job they're in, and they work. Men and women, on average, and this is just because that's the way things are, women will end up working for a company a little bit less than a man over the lifetime of their employment. Why is this? Well, this is due to the fact you have a number of women who will get pregnant and they will have kids, they'll start a family, so they're off for maternity leave. Now, I'm not bagging on you for having kids, but it does affect on how they'll treat you. I mean, if I have a guy who's always there, he's, there from, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., gets everything done, and he's been with the company for 5 years. And say you're the same, but you had to take off 3 or 4 months for maternity leave. He's likely to get promoted ahead of you because he was in the loop that whole time. Now, the cool thing now we have telecommuting, and teleconferencing, so that could possibly change. But for the last 50 or so years, or even let's go back to 20 years, that's what's been the real holding back women. That's the glass ceiling they like to talk about. Now, of course, there is going to be some sexism, but for the most part, men and women will make the same. I mean, as long as you have the same amount of time invested in the company, or not the company, maybe you work for the public sector, maybe you work in the government, like I do. I work for the city of Los Angeles, and I put a lot of time. And so I got promoted recently, and there are women who are ahead of me who are making more of me, but that's because even though let's say I've been working for the city longer, in that position they've worked longer and therefore they make more money, which is completely how it should be. You should be paid for how much effort you put in, how much education you have, your skills, your your hours worked. That's another thing that people forget is when you do stuff based on hours. Yes, hours worked. That is another one thing they forget is the fact that clocking in your actual hours worked will determine your final paycheck. And that's part of the big gap is, again, going back to a lot of women will leave early for whatever reason. A lot of times it's, let's say they're a mother or they're helping it or they have a doctor, whatever. Not just saying that, but there are a number of women I know who work their ass off and they deserve to get paid what they get paid. But if you're going to leave early, you're going to have to deal with the fact you're not going to get paid as much. And you shouldn't complain, because if I have to leave early for work, I'm not going to get paid as much. I've been sick before, or I've had a family emergency. I've clocked out. I'm not going to make as much. If you have to, be smart. If you have to leave early, maybe talk to your boss about getting sick leave or whatever. But don't complain because you have to go pick up little Timmy and drop him off and leave work an hour early, and you don't get that hour paid for. It's not on company time when you're dropping off your kids, so you shouldn't be paid by company money. So that's it for my current rant. I mean, if you want to know more, I will link a Times article in the description below about laser gaps. In fact, other top 10 myths, top 5 myths that people just won't let die when it comes to the opposite, between the difference between men and women. Alright, this is Major Random. It's great seeing you guys. I'll be back here next week with a new video. See ya.